Peace and blessings, family. This is your brother asarimhotep with the Madhu Indela Institute for the Advancement of Science and Culture, as well as the Martin Center for Egyptology. Today is Friday, July the 16th, and today's show is titled All the Smoke. And the question or the topic that will be under discussion is masculine and feminine energy, mythology, myth or reality. Does masculine and feminine energy exist? This is an open call show. So if you are in disagreement with my position that masculine and feminine energy does not exist, then I would like to hear your defense of that position. So all that and more when we return in just a bit. Welcome back. Again, this is a very powerful show. So I'm gonna start doing these every time I have this large or what is perceived to be large opposition to a particular point that I have. So I'm going to have these open shows called All the Smoke. I may even do a different intro just for that show. And this will give you the opportunity to state your opinion and to prove your point in 5 minutes or less. That's the time. I'm gonna have a timer, and you got 5 minutes or less to demonstrate and prove your argument. You won't have any interruption from me. I will just let you run. But before we get into today's topic, I want to shout out each and every one of you who are listening live. Then, of course, those of you who are catching the archive. Got a little something here. And let me see who's made themselves known in the comment section. So peace to Sean P, Gula SC, and I'm assuming that's South Carolina. Peace to Sutek Akande. Peace to Sister Tamika 1, Aaron Edwards, Harold Richardson, Donnie Williams, and Sister Safa. And of course, all of you who are catching it from the the Facebook space on both the Harold Johnson page and the asarimhotep page. I'm not sure if when people comment there that it comes through necessarily here. So peace to Brother Dejed M. Unk, and I mentioned that name already. Gula SC, South Carolina's own. And so yeah, it's been an interesting week. So the issue of the internet always has to start something, right? So on my Facebook page, I made the comment that masculine and feminine energy does not exist. And so, of course, all of the New Age spiritualists came gunning for my head. And so they were attempting to defend their position and question my logic and even my humanity for daring to say that there is no such thing as masculine and feminine energy. So I scheduled this show to give all of those individuals the opportunity to voice their opinions and concerns. And so hopefully those individuals will be listening and will be bold enough to come on the program and voice their opinions. So we're just going to give them some time so they know the link. They all got the link to the show, and I'll put the link to get on the panel a little bit later for those who want to join the panel and have the discussion. And so what I want to do first is just, a little bit of house cleaning while a lot of y'all are coming in. And first and foremost, just want to shout out everyone that has joined the Patreon page. That is patreon.com/asarimhotep, and who are helping to keep this channel up and to help it to expand visually and conceptually and things. So we got some major plans in the future, especially when I move back to Philly. So I'm currently in Texas right now, so I'm just preparing for that move back in January. So, but until then, you can support the channel by joining the Patreon page at one of the many different tiers. And so one of the latest interviews that we have thus far is with the great Dr. Modupe Oduyoye, who I believe is 86 years of age, 83 or 86 is one of those numbers. And, he has been doing linguistic work for longer than I've been alive. And so he's written numerous texts on the Yoruba, Hebrew, and Egyptian connection. He's a linguist, but he's also a Christian theologian, PhD in both. And so he has very good insight into the culture of the Yoruba and how the usage of African languages can bring about a better understanding of Hebrew and ancient Egyptian concepts, given that Africa is the origin. So for those of you who are on Patreon and, haven't gotten the notice of this upload, then you can do that. And this coming Sunday, we have our good brother, Garfield Reed from the Dagger Squad, who's going to be coming on the live. We're going to be live Sunday here, and that's going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And we're going to discuss his new book, which I have right here. Hopefully the glare doesn't, so I got all these dang lights on. Misconceptions and Misinformation by the Black Hebrew Israelites, Volume 1. So I just got mine in the mail a couple of days ago. So I have yet to fully go through it. So I'll probably read about 3 chapters, probably the first 2, then I'll skip a chapter so I have something to talk about on Sunday. And so make sure that y'all check out as well the Mossy Warrior Clan presents, written by Brother Kofi Pasai, beautiful lessons about Kimoyo. And this is his latest text. So this just came in the mail Thursday. And so I can't wait to dive into this when I have some time. And so y'all know that Kimoyo is the phrase that we are using instead of Kimoyo is the word that we are using instead of the phrase African spirituality. And so if you're familiar with my channel, of course, you know kind of the details of what Kimoyo is and all of that. And especially, you should see my last episode where I discuss this grapheme that I have designated as one of the main hieroglyphs for Kimoyo. And that is the art of adding life to life, the art of dynamism and vitality. And so you can also get these on shirts. So as you can see, this Kimoyo shirt here, and of course I renamed African Americans the Ba and Kole. You can also get our totem, on a shirt from spreadshirt.com. The link is below in the description. So now that I've said all of that and we've gotten all of that out of the way, peace to Essorant and Omar Reed and DJ Black Charm Music. And I think I said T'Challa Bangura already. But if I did not, shout out to you again. Peace to Sister Monica in the building, and love and light to each and every one of y'all. So, I gotta share the link. So I'm going to invite those who want to join the panel. There is the link. So it is in the chat. And you should be good to go. So on the asarimhotep Facebook page and on the YouTube page, y'all should have the link in the chat if you want to join the discussion. So let me see. It says Garfield's taking over the internet. We just glad he finally got the book out. He's been threatening us with this book since the civil rights movement. So we're glad that it came out. So so shout out to Brother Garfield Reed again. He's going to be here on Sunday at 7 p.m. So make sure y'all check us out live. So the question, does masculine and feminine energy exist? Flat out, the answer is no. And however you say that in whatever language that you speak, no, nada, hell no. It is a bunch of new age jibber jabber. And we can demonstrate that. So we'll get into what is energy, and then we're going to see what the whole masculine and feminine energy thing is. So I want to share my screen, and I want y'all to just notice something here. Let me go. I'm going to share one of my Chrome tabs, and we'll do like that. So we are going to say, like if we just type in energy in the search engine, right? And of course, the first thing that comes up is energy in physics is the capacity for doing work. It may exist in potential, kinetic, thermal, electrical, chemical, nuclear, or other various forms. There are, moreover, heat and work, therefore energy in the process of transfer from one body to another. Now, this is the general standard definition, and we'll get into a little bit of that. But you notice that when we go down, we see Department of Energy, Entergy.com. These are actual commercial companies that deal with energy. Of course, Wikipedia, and it says, in physics, energy is a quantitative property that must be transferred to a body or a physical system to perform work on the body or to heat it. Energy Star, these are all companies, government, DukeEnergy.com, Alliance. And so, if you just type in the word energy, you're only going to hit a few sources that discuss it in general, because most of the things that come up are going to be, energy companies. like envy energy and things here. You might get this sciencedirect.com. And energy providers and yada yada yada. So you'll see these types of images. So let's be more specific, and let's type in what is energy, and let's see if that does us better. And is there a way to kind of highlight that more? Let me see. Nope, that's too. Let's see. No, can we increase this? No, I guess I can't. So we'll do this. Okay, so what is energy? And let me just increase. Can y'all see this better now that y'all should be, now that I've zoomed in on the page? Let me see. There we go. Oops, sorry. Let me know if y'all can see. Okay. So it looks like y'all can see. So again, when you type in what is energy, now you get a little bit more academic sources. So of course, about in physics, energy is the quantitative property. Notice this word here, quantitative property. It is not a thing, and we'll get into that a little later. And we've already had this, discussion on why spirituality, as discussed by most people, is not science. And the whole point of like this campaign is to really distinguish between new agers who like to borrow terms from science but misapply these terms in their so-called spiritualist pursuits. And so sciencelearn.org, New Zealand. You get, of course, a number of YouTube videos that discuss the nature of energy, high school energy, Jove energy, Terrell energy. You go to the next pages, more videos, universities come up, API thought, teaching engineering, Cosmos magazine, dealing with physics, energy, another university, and then we can go on to the next page, and you'll see a consistency in terms of, like what it is, techtarget.com, wired.com, Webster, National Geographic, educational tools, Needham K through 12, study.com, Science Daily, Physics Info, Oregon State University. You notice the quality of the entry, science.nasa.gov, when you type in what is energy and who's promoting this or this, right? So now let's type in masculine and feminine energy, and let's see what types of sites come up when you type in masculine and feminine energy. So the wheel of wellbeing.com, goop.com. I don't even know what that is. You see the images that come up here. So notice that when we typed in energy before, you would see stuff like chemical, energy, lightning, things of this nature. But when you type in masculine and feminine energy, all of this esoteric chakra, aura, energy field, yin yang, yada, 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 types of images come up. Sacred balance, kundalini, sacred spiritual, etc. Intelligent change. Is masculine or feminine energy your strength? How to find balance between your masculine and feminine energy. Chopra, the guru Chopra, This is his website. So, TonyRobbins.com. What's leading your energy, masculine or feminine? ThriveGlobal.com, SylviaSalo.com, Name Ritter. I don't even know who that is. We're going to keep going. So Happy Partners Project, Find Your Good Space, Tony Robinson again, MindBodyGreen.com, Holistic Healing. Notice, not one physics, not one university, not one credible educational institute. All new age, white people, spiritualists, balancing. Look at this. The Taoist secrets of love, cultivating male sexual energy, the masculine and feminine energies, the way to the superior man, the warrior, magician, lover, feminine, masculine balance, non-scientific books. Go to the third one and go mindbodyandgreen.com. Daily Guru, masculine or feminine. What's your leading energy? Eromagnosis, masculine and feminine energies are not gender bound. Real men embrace their feminine energy. Humanparts.medium.com. What is this? SheRoseRevolution.com. Masculine and feminine energy. Sun Yatsutanada. I don't even know how to pronounce that. How can masculine energy women find and keep love? Here's the difference between the feminine and not one scientific space. Now, let me see. This is very important, because notice when we just type in energy, all the reputable sites and stuff come up. But when we type in masculine and feminine energy, all the pseudoscience websites come up. It's only relegated to, love and chakras and kundalini, etc., etc. This is very problematic, because energy has no polarity. It doesn't exist as an entity unto itself that you can label it. It does not have a binary to it that you can label one part masculine, one part feminine. It doesn't exist, because people don't know what energy is. Energy is a measurement. Hold on one second. And again, for those who want to join the conversation, I have put the link in the chat. And so it should come up for those of you who are on Facebook on the asarimhotep page, as well as, of course, those of you who are in the YouTube chat as of right now. So now, excuse me, as I drink my beets and turmeric drink, yada, yada, yada. So I want to hear the argument from those of you who claim that masculine and feminine energy exist. We can have a productive dialogue. And so one of my questions is, how come you cannot produce one scientific journal discussion or anything about masculine and feminine energy? How come if you talk about masculine and feminine energy, it's always on this spiritualist, raise your kundalini and let it explode out of your crown chakra stuff from India? And then why do y'all try to put masculine and feminine energy within an African space? So this is your opportunity. And so everybody has the link. I'm not running. I'm inviting. This is a loving space, you know. So we're going to use some of our feminine energy and just be a comfortable, safe, loving space for you to get your argument out. So you can join the panel and we can have this discussion. Otherwise, you know, I can talk. I have the microphone. I can go for days, you know, on this subject. You know, I already got slides ready and all of that good stuff. So we got one person in already. I'm going to give it a second, you know, because I know there's a time delay, you know, from when I'm speaking live and what you will probably hear on the live stream. So while we do that, I'm going to need each and every single one of you who is listening to that is right. I'm going to need y'all to hit the likes. I'm going to need them likes to go up. And if you have not subscribed to the channel so that you can listen to all of my shenanigans and foolishness, intellectual foolishness, y'all need to, I encourage you, I should say, to subscribe to the channel and make sure that y'all hit the bell so that y'all can get the notices. And so when I upload or do live shows. And so my goal is to, by December, to reach 10,000 subscribers on this channel. And so this is my road to 10,000. So make sure y'all help a brother out and we can get this done. So make sure that y'all hit the like button. Let's get real disrespectful to the YouTube algorithm, you know, who be filtering what you see, you know, in your timeline. So I am going to bring on our guest, DJ Black Charm. Peace and blessings. How you doing, good brother?
Peace, 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 peace. Long time since Facebook days.
Yeah,
man. And now, even though you showed some stuff on Google that says it is not real, masculine and feminine energy is not real. Okay, I beg to differ.
Go ahead.
All right. The reason why I beg to differ is because, all right, so like I'm in my studio right now, right? And
All right.
got like a little blue light going on. And then I change the light. You know what I'm saying? Immediately, when I'm doing that while people recording and stuff like that, it changed the mood. You know what I'm saying? And like if I had a yellow light on, it'll make them feel more bright. I'll be making more happy stuff. You know, I put a red light on, they make it more dark stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I believe that, like, to put a gender with it, I think we all ran down that rabbit hole of putting a male and female to that thing. You know what I'm saying? Now, I would go as far as saying hard and soft energy, like a light bulb. You get a certain light bulb and it tell you the watts on the light bulb, and it tell you if it's a soft light, if it's a bright light and stuff like that. And I feel like that's the same thing with energy. And when certain people are talking to each other, and I think that comes up a lot when dealing with men. Men like to bring that space of masculine and feminine. Like if you talking to somebody and then you don't feel like arguing or whatever, and you trying to calm it down, he's like, look at this man coming with the feminine energy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, they ain't feminine energy. I just want to calm it down. I don't want to be all, I don't want that vibration to be so high. But I think that's the place right there. And in our paradigm of in our Western thinking, you know, everything is man first, you know, then woman, then the child or whatever. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to be a man, boys don't cry, and you know what I'm saying, suck it up and whatever. You know what I'm saying? So we equate all that stuff with being tough or harder energy. You know what I'm saying? And women are loving and caring and stuff. And you know what I'm saying? And we equate that with something more softer, you know. And so when a woman comes Like a woman can't come and have the energy of a man because she's being masculine now. You know what I'm saying? She can't be fired up about getting the job done. You know what I'm saying? If she fired up about getting the job done, now she's stepping in the shoes of a man, or even especially when it comes to religion. You know, now me, myself, forever, you know what I'm saying? I was born in being an Israelite. Now that's something else. But when it comes to religion, inside of religion, especially in the Israelite community, the Christian community, it's like, you know, the woman, you know what I'm saying, put that energy back. We don't want her energy right there because she shouldn't be chest to chest. Her energy shouldn't match a man's energy. You know what I'm saying? She shouldn't bring all that masculine energy. Here's the other word down the rabbit hole: testosterone. Where she's getting all this testosterone from? You know what I'm saying? Brother, you fool with a whole lot of estrogen, all that crazy thinking. You know what I'm saying? And they try to go scientifically into talking about where this energy is coming from. You know, or why they calling it masculine and feminine. But I ain't gonna go too long. I know people like, he nigga talking forever.
No, I appreciate you coming on. So, you know, this is what this show is for, us to have this dialogue and for us to iron out and really walk through the concepts that we use on a daily basis to see if we, one, understand them and if we're using it correctly, and if so, you know, what are the implications? How can we use it to better our lives? So that's ultimately what these conversations, you know, are about. So one thing I want to do, I'm gonna give my definition, because I can't find a real definition of masculine and feminine energy on the web, because it's not a thing. It's only a thing in the New Age spiritualist community. So what I'm going to do is share my screen, and we'll do this real quick. And so this is my definition based upon my experience dealing with folks on this question. And so I define masculine and feminine energy as, or what I state, I shouldn't say it's a definition, but it is more so an articulation of the idea's application and where it comes from. So what I say is masculine and feminine energy, in quotes, in reality are cultural category labels that represent archetypes perceived to be inherent within human males and females, respectively, that are often applied to non-human objects. And so let me repeat it. Masculine and feminine energy, in reality, are cultural category labels that represent archetypes perceived to be inherent within human males and females, respectively, that are often applied to non-human objects. And so I want to get y'all opinion about what my construction of the articulation on the application of masculine and feminine quote unquote energy, so to speak. And so I argue that these are archetypes. So human beings have a tendency to want to anthropomorphize everything, right? When it comes to God, it got to be a he or a she. You know, even if we're talking about something as simple as a plug, right? So you got a plug here. What end is this?
That's what would be called the male.
This would be called the male end, right?
Right.
And in the wall would be called the female end.
Right.
Now we perceive this to be the male end because this, you know, it extends out, kind of like an erect phallus.
Right.
But, you know, one could argue that this is the female end. Why? Because this receives. If we was going by the actual male and female, women receive the seed and grow and do all of this other kind of stuff. So the wall itself would be the masculine, since it's the thing shooting out, empowering whatever object this is connected to.
That's a crazy observation.
But that's what I mean. Real. It's a cultural thing. So, generally this is the male end and the wall is the female because you stick it in. But that doesn't mean that plug is actually masculine. It is no more masculine and feminine. This is our anthropomorphizing non-human objects. And so one of the things that we don't also consider is that our ideas of what is masculine and what is feminine is cultural, that it may not apply to other cultures. For example, if you saw two men in the United States walking and holding hands, what would you say about those individuals? Two grown men, not an older man and a child.
Right, I know what you're saying. Yeah. The average person, including myself, would say that they have a feminine energy, or they have like. Now they could be hardcore, you know what I'm saying? They could play football, basketball, whatever. You know what I'm saying? They could be some roughneck, they could be some gangsters or whatever. But because they holding hands, you know what I'm saying? We say that's a feminine energy. You know what I'm saying? And we take it. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't judge. You know, somebody say don't judge. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I ain't gonna judge. I'm just gonna say they got a feminine energy about themselves. You know what I'm saying? They giving off woman. They giving off vibes of a female. You know what I'm saying? They giving out. But then at the same time though, if you seeing women doing it, you'll say the same. You'll say somebody. Which one of them the man? You know what I'm saying? So we go into that space. But we always do that. That's us in America, man. I think that's the world, though. I think that I really think the world has sent us down that rabbit hole of how you say anthropomorphizing non-human objects, or just looking at a situation and just blankly putting a statement out on. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't know those people. We just saw them walking.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? We just saw them walking.
And the reason why we say it's feminine, because 9 times out of 10, if you see a male and female couple walking and holding hands, the woman is probably the one who initiated the hand holding process. That's something that they do. That's just, they want to hold hands and be connected and be all up under their man. Now, but if we were to go into Africa and certain places in the Middle East, men hold hands as a sign of friendship. You even see it on the walls of ancient Kemet, of them holding hands. So it's non-sexual. Even in Ghana, they do this. It's non-sexual. There's nothing farther. They're not in an American space. This is just a sign of friendship and that you're close to a friend. Now it's kind of hard. I grew up here, so it's but
everything's been sexualized. Everything.
Yeah, we sexualize everything, but in places like that, it's just a sign of friendship, and even in the Middle East. So this is why I had to stick that word cultural in there, because depending on your culture, it will define what you deem as masculine and what you deem as feminine.
Word.
And so and we got to understand that a lot of our human traits are learned from the environment in which we come from. And so what you're deeming as women's culture, like if you saw a brother and he was just always gossiping and chatting, you would say that he got some female tendencies. Why? Because the culture of women like to gossip. They like to be in the news and be in the nail shops and talking da. But that's not inherent in them. That's not a biological response, like through evolution that they do that. That's just the culture of women that they pass down. The little girls seeing their mamas, yapping about so-and-so down the street. Then they go to school and they want to talk about so and so down the street. And you got this whole. That's why you have, women make a living off of gossip blogs and television shows and things of that nature. So this is something that we have to consider. And so when I talk about, energy, I have to, first start off with the languages. And so what is energy according to the language? And so I'm gonna share my screen. Bear with me for just a second. So we'll do that again. Here we go. And then we'll go from this slide. So this is coming from, Etum Online, and, most dictionaries is going to have the same meaning as well. But I also like to go to the root of words to see if there's been any significant change over time in terms of its meaning. So I start off first with power, because a lot of times we use force, power, energy interchangeably, and for good reason. So, for example, the first word power is defined as ability to act or do, strength, vigor, might, especially in battle, efficacy, control or mastery, lordship, dominion, ability or right to command or control, legal power or authority, authorization, military force, and army. I think I heard someone come in, and I'll come get you when I finish this. I can't see because my screen is full screen. So then we get to the word energy itself. It is the ability to act, to lead others, to affect, etc., forcefully. The capacity for vigorous activity, available power. And so this interchange of power and energy, because they're both built off of verbs dealing with the ability to act or do. And so the very word work is from this word. The word work and the word energy derive from the same root. So this PIE here stands for Proto-Indo-European. So it says from the Proto-Indo-European werg, and it's really RG here. So the we in erg is replaced by in and nominalizes the verb werg, to do. So the word energy is the noun form of a verb meaning to do, to act, to create, to move, etc. And so basically the same thing here. And so when it comes, for example, like, if you want to get sciencey, especially when it comes to chemical energy, energy is the rearrangement of chemical or nuclear bonds into a more stable state. But that's dealing with chemical energy. And so what we'll discover is that energy is a property of matter in relationship to its position and motion. It is not a thing. It's just like you can't find height in nature. You can't find the number 3 in nature. You can't find 20 degrees in nature. These are terms that you use to define a property or an aspect of matter. When you're talking about temperature, we assign number values on the intensity of the movement of atoms and molecules in the air. So when you're talking about temperature, you're talking about the rate of speed in which molecules are vibrating in a substance or the air. but it's attached to matter. When you talk about the height or the width of something, you can't talk about the height and width as if that exists. Like, you wouldn't say that there's a such thing as feminine and masculine width. Like, it just sounds crazy. Because length and width don't exist as a thing. It describes it describes a property of matter in three-dimensional space. And so even in I have a few African languages spoken here. So for example, in Chiluba, you have the word esa or enza, to make, to act, behave, take the appearance. Kuenza, to do, to be able to do, to be able to act, to have power, to have authority. And then when you nominalize it and put an agent prefix on it, you get ngenzi, officer, manufacturer, somebody who has authority to make things happen. And so in the Yoruba language, when you say she, to do, to act, to make, to cause, to be, you say ashe, a coming to pass, law, command, authority, commandment, enjoyment, imposition, and power. Ashe represents power and energy. But you never hear the Yoruba talking about masculine and feminine ashe, because it doesn't exist. In Chiluba, for example, and I'm representing a few other languages here. Luganda, kukola, to do. Lingala, kosala, kokela, to do, to make. In Chiluba, you put the bu prefix in front of it, that same root becomes force, power, energy. And so we have to get serious about these terms and concepts, because people like to ask, well, where is this in African spirituality? You tell me where this is natively in African spirituality. I could tell you by the words themselves, they don't have masculine and feminine. You won't hear amongst the Baluba people masculine and feminine bukole. You won't hear amongst the Yoruba masculine and feminine ashe. Because ashe is ashe. It's just power, but it's not a thing. It derives from a verb, meaning to do, to act. Just like in English. And so it's that same verb and things that become nature in ancient Egyptian, and Nkole, God, powerful man. It's not that he's walking around with some aura that can shoot out of his chest at a whim. And so, for example, like, people get this equation confused when, you know, the famous E equals MC squared. Both energy and mass are measurements or properties of matter times the speed of light, because it has to be in motion. And this actually is at rest mass. E equals MC squared. And so what it's saying is that energy, mass, and the speed of light are all properties of matter. Electromagnetic energy is stored in the orbital substructure of subatomic particles and manifests as their mass. The mass of a particle is a measure of how much energy is absorbed in deformation of a particle instead of acceleration. So when you're talking about energy, again, you're talking about the movement, on at least on the atomic scale, the movement of electrons, protons, neutrons, chemical bonds in terms of getting two atoms together. So if we get two hydrogen atoms together and one oxygen, you have water, H2O. That has the ability to do something. And so it lets you know how much energy, quote unquote, is stored, dealing with how much work it can do. And it says energy and inertia mass are equivalent, and hence the changes of energy results in the corresponding changes of its mass. So we're talking about motion. There's a connection with motion here. And so what is a property? A property is an attribute, quality, or characteristic of something. A physical property is any property that is measurable, whose value describes a state of a physical system. The changes in the physical properties of a system can be used to describe its changes between momentary states. Physical properties are often referred to as observables. They are not modal properties. So you have intensive property, extensive property, physical property, chemical properties. But these are all characteristics of matter, of a thing, of something that exists. And so, like, these are different states: solid, liquid, gas, plasma. You can describe these. And so these are, for example, the physical properties of this ice cube. You can talk about its color. You could talk about its smell. There's no masculine and feminine colors. If you saw a dude walking, if you saw Cameron in the mid 2000s walking around in a pink furry coat, a lot of us would say that's some feminine energy. But why? Because a lot of women have been socialized to like the color pink. A lot of girls have been socialized to like the color pink. And of course, we've been socialized to associate blue with males, and red with danger. And there are some natural phenomena from which a lot of this has emerged. So if we see fire, red, we know that's danger. Blue skies are good, but black clouds and black skies bring thunder, rain, storms. But there's not masculine and feminine about it. Again, these are archetypes that human beings have created to apply to non-male and female human entities. And so, again, types of energy, forms of energy. We could say kinetic, we could say potential energy. But energy is not a substance. It cannot be weighed. It does not take up space. Energy describes a condition. And so you can't have a masculine and feminine energy because energy is not a thing. And I am waiting on anybody who disagrees to show me in any reputable literature, or if you can show me live some masculine and feminine energy. I am waiting. I'll save these for later in case we get into that subject. But again, I've already had this discussion, and hold on, let me stop sharing my screen. Hold on. And our good brother DJ left out, and I see Confidence Chizoro has joined the conversation, so I'm gonna bring you in. Peace and blessing.
Peace and blessing, brother. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. No problem. What's your opinion? What's your thoughts on the subject today?
I'm just listening. It's pretty deep, but yeah, I can understand what you're saying. But I would want to ask, because I understand your perspective about like it's a cultural definitions about what's feminine and what's masculine, but like I do know that in certain cultures they have like I guess you'd say spirits, this like male spirits and female spirits that get passed down.
Mm-hmm.
I know like in a con they have the Entoro and the Enton. Yoruba Ajay, I think there's Mother's Power. And then, but you did speak about like matter and states of energy. So I'd like to know how you would define that, the male spirits and female spirits if they're not energy or.
Yeah, I like to refer back to a part of the. I don't know if you were here from the beginning of the conversation with brother DJ who was just on, but I had mentioned that human beings have a tendency to want to anthropomorphize everything. Like we see Jesus in cloud formations, right? We try to humanize everything. If we see a dog appear dancing or something to this nature, we want to associate and give it human attributes. And so when we're talking about so-called spirits, and this is a lecture that I intended to do earlier this year, but time and my classes prevented me from executing. But I'm gonna have to do it, and I'm gonna show you how an equation, like a mathematical equation, is the same thing as a spirit, based on African definitions, because those are just personifications. And a matter of fact, like let me see if I can pull up the excuse me. I hope this is it, because in the lecture I encourage everyone to go watch a lecture that I had, excuse me, not a lecture, an interview that I had with Dr. Alexis Tengan. And well, he was in Europe at the time, but he is from northern Ghana, and he is of the Dagara people, the same people that Malidoma Some is from, except colonialism has split the territory. So you have some Dagara who are in Burkina Faso, and then you have some who are in northern Ghana. And so one of the things that he said in the lecture, which I think was critical, is that when it comes to this notion of God, right? God is the cosmos itself. And when you want to study God and you want to study cosmos, you must do it through deity. And what he said is that anytime you study nature, the deity is simply how you conceptualize that aspect of nature. It's not a thing. Like a deity is not a thing unto itself, right? Like there's really deities walking around, doing stuff. So like if I show you an ancient Egyptian drawing of the god Ra, right? Or Isis or Ptah, or Sekhmet. These are all principles and concepts in nature that they created a formula to describe it in terms of its major characteristics. And they use this anthropomorphic form to study this aspect of nature. Scientists do the same thing, except they don't draw elaborate human form deities. They do it in the form of equations. Equations are the same thing. They're deities. And people don't know what a spirit or a deity is. And so we got to understand that even in Africa, there's the layperson's understanding of things, and then there's the high priestly understanding. The high priestly understanding of things is more in alignment with what we would consider in modern science. But it's you know, the lay persons, the common everyday person that think that you can just put a whole bunch of food in a corner or whatnot for a deity and appease the deities, not understanding what this type of ritual is supposed to do psychologically, you know, in terms of shaping your thoughts and behavior on how to interact with other human beings and nature itself. So hold on one sec. I want to get the exact quote of him, but and I know I put it somewhere, but it's not. When did I interview him? I think that was it last year? Let me see. It was 6/20/20, well, around that time that I interviewed him. So no, that wouldn't be there either. But I'll find it. But yeah, it's you know, we don't understand how much the human experience shapes what we do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so like let me share my screen real quick. Again, it's gonna be a night of sharing the screen. So let me do that. And so this is from the conversation. Oh, there we go. That I had with Dr. Alexis Tangan. So this isn't like his presentation. I wanted him to comment on some things from the book that we were discussing. So this is the book that we were discussing, One Life and Health, the Language of Art and Religion in an African Medical System. So he's talking about the Dagara medical system. And so it was in that conversation. So if you've heard of Malidoma Somé talk about the Koltonble, you know, what Malidoma Somé fails to articulate is that the Konton or Kontonble are in reality, you know, aspects of Earth that have been anthropomorphized in the culture. And so we get this breakdown from the elder who wrote the particular text. And so it's just a specific space. So yeah, this is where I wanted to go here. And I wanted to show, you know, the comparisons. So this word tang and like the, you know, the author, his last name is Tangan. It has to deal with the earth and the land. And so the ko and kotomple, and that konton, that inton is actually cognate with the word nature. So it's like farm spirits, farm powers, or farm entities, or the earth entities, ko. But this is their main word for earth, land, tang. And this is cognate with Egyptian earth, land. And then they have Sa, rain, sky, heavens, and which describes the god Shu, which you see right here. So, you know, when you see the goddess Nut, that's outer space. That's nighttime. That's why she has stars on her body here. But the god Shu represents the sky, and the this is the god Geb, which is representing the earth. But you can see how the ancient Egyptians are doing it. So they're applying what is common to their human experience in their cultural space to articulate certain aspects of nature. So when you want to study cosmos, you do it through deity. And so, you know, notice that in the majority of Africa, the earth is feminine and the sky is masculine, but not in Egyptian. The earth is masculine, but the sky, or the outer skies here, is feminine. But this is the sky in between is seen as masculine. So they have a totally different milieu. And when they want to articulate time, for example, they use a boat reference. All human stuff. This stuff, you're not going to find this in nature. You're not going to find the god shoe, the goddess newt, etc. They're not masculine, feminine. These are just cultural articulations of an archetype based on their cultural experience. And so here's a Kotumble shrine.
Yeah.
This,
I love that Anton from the Akan.
So hold on. So yeah, so if you want to go there, so when we talk about the Kotumble, the word is Konton, nature spirits. Konton me, plural. So if you want to, well, I should have just made this singular, nature spirit, Konton. But Konton me, plural. And then when you have Kontumble, child Konton, or Kontumbile, and bile meaning small. And then there's a articulation, a whole conversation of the unborn spirits that emerge. And from that same root, you get this word ber for seed, where the L and R change. And so, the breakdown is konton me, plural, nature, spirits, beings, konton, singular. Ko, it has to deal with to farm. There's another ko with I think it's a down nasal tone dealing with hunger. And then these other, possible articulations. But I was telling him, you really have to venture out of the, the single language etymolizing, and it will help you out here. And so, we know that the intone, or the intoro, as you mentioned, has to deal with family consanguinity and kindredness, the spirit that comes through the masculine or through the male line. So intoro, a person of the same ancient family worshiping the same fetish. And it's also a word for river, so they ask you what river you're from, and you say with your family. But these are the, a few cognates around the around Africa. So of course, Netcher and Chui and Toro and Tro, spirit of the patrilineage. In the Yoruba, it's been reduced to Ntori, because, or a causal agent. Among the Lubara, Adro, guardian spirit, Adro also God, the Mbuti, Endura, god of the rainforest. Among the Gurma, for example, Untero, god, and Tenu, god amongst the Gurmanchi. But and more representations across other spaces. And what do I get here? Buying Kita, nature spirits, no. And so I wanted to show the relationship between there. But anyway, but yeah, so in other words, it's a personification of things. And so, we gotta understand the difference between African pedagogy and reality. And so when we want to teach children certain abstract concepts that their mind may not be mature enough to understand, then we personify some things. So that's like the whole point of Sesame Street. Like where would Sesame Street be if we didn't have all of these creative ways to teach our children, about it? And so, so in terms of your position, do you believe that, just for clarity, that there is masculine and feminine energy? And if you believe that it is, could you articulate what it is? What is energy? And then what is the masculine version of it? And what is the feminine version of
it? No, I don't actually believe that, because, like it was covered before, it's about like it's cultural, cultural. So, in some cultures, men might take care of business. Other cultures, women run the businesses, that sort of thing. So I was just wondering what the difference between energy and spirit was.
Well, it just depends. It really just depends. So one of the things that I articulated in the previous conversation is that, a lot of times there's a language barrier between, African languages and of course English. So you'll find a lot of literature where they equate spirit to energy. And that was the whole, like the slides that I was showing from the previous conversation. It was, the title of it was, African spirituality is not science. And so this was another debate that at another time, I think it was in 2018, that we were having on Facebook. And the let me see, everybody wants to rush, well, the Africans say this and this. And I'm like, well, you also have to understand the language barrier. And so, they'll try to argue that spirit is non-physical. But you can't use the word energy in relationship to spirit and try to say that they're the same thing. The problem is that they think that energy is a thing. They think that it is a substance, a substance that is invisible to the eye. But when you discover that energy is not a substance at all, it just describes matter, then you can't use the word energy and spirit interchangeably if you believe that spirit has nothing to do with matter. And so people got to understand that just because you don't see something doesn't mean that it doesn't have a physical property. And this is the underlying articulation. Matter of fact, let me share my screen again, because we can prove that with this citation. And for anyone who has any of my books, that I cite this, a lot. And let me see. Is it in this slideshow? Or is it towards the bottom? Where is my slide? Did I have it earlier? No, it wasn't here. So let me see. I got so many slides now. I mean, presentations now. I don't know where nothing is. That's why I have to write books, because you can't have just a gang of presentations. And, without organizing all this data. Here we go. So let me go here. So what is a spirit or God? Ooh, all right. So we're going to go to the Lugbara, and there's a text called Ritual and Authority Among the East African People. So remember from the previous slide that Adro is cognate. It is the Lugbara cognate for the word nature in ancient Egyptian, or in Toro in tree, which is Tro in Ewe and Efik in those groups, and even in Sango or Zande in Central Africa, right? So the author states that I translate Adro and Adroa as God, although the correspondence of meaning is not exact. Adro the basic form of the term refers to a personified force. See the word? Personified force outside the control and beyond the understanding of living men who are his creatures. Indeed, unlike our term God in English, Adro is used also to refer to a category of objects, which are manifestations of divinity and beyond the control and understanding of men. Many apparently miraculous things are called Adro, such as what I have called the guardian spirit of a man, or even matches are spirits. The word is sometimes used for testicles and for the power of procreation. Azra lives on earth, especially in rivers. He is also found in large trees and thickets and on high mountains and rocky places. He is in every stream. Adro is common to all Lugbara. In addition, each clan has its own spirit called Adro. So it refers to God and in the spirit of the clan. The clan is a dispersed group which is not concerned in corporate activity. The spirit is also a manifestation of God's power, and in many cases is thought of as having been a distant ancestor. So it's kind of all over the place in terms of its applications. But ultimately, this word adro comes from a verb meaning to do or to act. And when it's nominalized and it lost its nominal morpheme, like the in toro or in nature, or in cole in chiluba. And so, and so when you think about the netters and stuff to this nature, it can also, when you talk about spirits, relate to thought. So like when people talk about a spirit, it could just be a consciousness, a type of thinking. And so as Modupe Oduyoye, in an article which he wrote in this text here called Traditional Religion in West Africa, we can then think of Kra or Kla, that would be the Ka in ancient Egypt. They're cognates. And matter of fact, this is just a dialectical variation of the very word nature itself. And so have my books, I give you the proof. So we can then think of Kla as consciousness, that part of a man that corresponds to a calling. Like your spirit can be just a name. And so then we have this here, and this is where I wanted to get to. This is among the Ga in Ghana. And so the word is won or won. And I demonstrate in Aluja Volume 2 that this too is a dialectical variation through a series of sound changes for the word netter. And so in Egyptian, so this is Ga, won, wo, ancestor, spirit. In Egyptian, it's Iwun, a god, an epithet for Osiris. In Yoruba, it's Iwin, ancestors, ghost spirits. Ingas, also in Nigeria, Won, ancestors, the living dead, shades. The Bachama, Won, the demigod in charge of the dead, the demigod in charge of the kingdom of death. In other words, Osiris. Because that's who Iwon is, Iwon. It's Osiris. And so the Bachama in Nigeria still worship Osiris, who is the king, the demigod in charge of the kingdom of death, the underworld. So, regardless of that, let's read what a won is among the Ga. A won, by God definition, and this is in the book Religion and Medicine of the Ga People. A won, by God definition, is anything that can work but not be seen, and includes the smaller beings of specialized and limited activity associated with medicines and magic. So people get this confused. When you talk about a nature if you can't see it in your everyday experience, you can argue that it is a nature. Doesn't necessarily mean that it is non-material. And that's where a lot of people have a mistake when trying to understand certain African concepts, because this could just be an atom, a molecule, a gas, et cetera, or the substances that make up a larger material thing that give it its potency. That's why it's associated with medicines. So, for example, if I don't know what's an active ingredient, a common active ingredient in medicine, but it's, let's say in Tylenol, whatever in Tylenol is the active ingredient. In Tylenol, that is a wo, that is a nature, that is a spirit, but it is a combination, a chemical combination of atoms. That's all it is. But in common every day, you don't experience atoms. You don't see atoms. You don't see electromagnetism outside of the agitation that we experience as light. You know, you don't see infrared. You know, you need instruments to see those spirits, those gods. But the point is that notice that a wo, a spirit or God, this is cognate with nature and kla and kra and all those other different forms of words. Ancestors, anything that can do work. What did we say energy was? The ability to do work. That's what it is. But energy is not a thing. When you're talking about a wo or a nature or a God, it is a thing. It is a physical thing that can do the work, but not be seen. If people understood this and what I'm saying, you know, we know that we have instruments now that we can see the deities. We can see the atoms. But that's a whole different discussion. Here's my, proof here that won, the WN, is, for example, cognate in Chiluba with a KLKD consonant sequence of words. But I'll end that part there. But
all right. I just had that was a good presentation. I did want to ask, this question came to mind.
okay.
As far as like people talk about testosterone versus estrogen and chemical changes. Would that what would you think about that as far as feminine and define that as feminine and masculine energy, or if you know the science behind that?
Again, it is human beings trying to anthropomorphize and create archetypes based on their experience as human beings onto non-human phenomena. So we know that a woman's body produces more estrogen than testosterone. They got it both. Just like men have it both. But just because you produce one, the female produces one more than the other, and the male produces one more than the other, doesn't mean that this equates to masculine and feminine energy. And so people got nature confused. And like, hold on. This came in the mail not too long ago. And I have another one back in Philly that I use for a Raspberry Pi. And so y'all know I'm in computer science, and I'm getting ready to kind of, teach some younger folks about some things. And I'll probably do some tutorials online about some things dealing with, electrical engineering. I'm not an electrical engineer. We can get Dr. Oyama for that. But, we have to learn electrical engineering concepts in computer science because that's fundamentally what we deal with. So, you can find all of these types of, this is a laughing computer, this is like a little miniature computer that you can see here. And this is the USB charge port, but you can also use a kind of a DC plug, and has this reset button, and you can do all kinds of stuff. And like this kit, they have more expensive kits. So like when you see people building robots, they have whole kits like this. And so, but you get a kit like this to start off. I don't know, this light is too bright for to show, but it is the one that I got is an ultimate starter kit for Uno R3, and this is a kind of the lowest and the basic. But then it kind of increases from there. You can do more things, but if you really want to understand how energy works, I encourage you to get one of these so that you can learn, how to, for example, how traffic lights work. And so you can get yourself a small, what they call, these are called breadboards. And so this is where you would put, little electrodes and, LEDs that you will light up. And, once you plug it to a power source, so, you have to learn a little bit about like logic gates and how the flow of, people say energy is not energy, really. It's really electrons in the form of, or the quote unquote positive charge, even though technically it's negative. But the flow of electrons and electricity and how it can be channeled and moved. So when you see like people talk about binary systems and things of that nature, it's really electricity on or electricity off. Do we allow through the gate, the logic gate or the transistor? That's what a transistor is. It's a gate that allows for current to flow through a particular path or not. So when we're talking about binary in nature, it's not feminine and masculine. That those concepts don't exist in that way. It's really active or non-active, yes or no. We represent that in computer language with 0 and 1 for off and on. No flow of electricity, flow of electricity. And we can make rules just putting in order the putting in a type of order the flow of electricity, and it's that logic. That's why we call them logic gates that allow for like what we're seeing here now. And then we have to represent them in terms of zeros and ones, and then there's machine language and all of that other kind of stuff. But if you understand, you get one of these kits, like they come with a little motor, you can make you a small fan, and learn how to create motors. For example, here is a device that you would use to send a signal and receive a signal back. So you can, if you understand this and how to flow in radio waves and all of this other kind of stuff, because that's all radio waves are. It's just a form of light waves and things. And so especially when, talking about negative and positive, understand, look up videos and what a battery is. There's no negative and positive energy. You're talking about the flow of electrons and the decay of a particular type of metal that's in that pushes the electrons to flow, and it's that charge that is being captured in the form of electricity that we get to push particular types of motors like this, and that we can do all kinds of crazy things. And you have remote controls. It shows you how to remote controls work. Like you can learn how to rig your entire home if you understand these stuff. And so when you're talking about this masculine, feminine, healing energy, it's not going to get you anywhere. But if you understand energy and understand power and flow and things, you can build a high-paying career off of these different things. So I want to show how the fundamental concepts of spirituality has to deal with reality. And as long as we in outer space thinking all kinds of craziness, then you'll never be able to utilize these concepts to improve the lives of African people. And so, you have these LED type displays, pads, like if you can make, so for example, it even comes with a card. So if you ever been to a hotel, right, and you had a key card, it shows you how to make key cards. So you can put your own lock on your door that you only have a special key card to get in if you understand these particular concepts. Again, this is a $40 kit. So you can say $10 a week for a month and get this kit. Whatever you was going to spend at Starbucks or at McDonald's, like this here. This is a sensor. So you got to understand how light, wave, distance, and how to program. Real energy, real discussion about energy and things of that nature. If you don't understand these particular principles, you won't. Let me see if I can open so you can actually see. And so again, I'm gonna start doing some tutorials on this stuff. So like a sensor. So you can create your own security system. Learn encryption, learn these different things. And so these are the things that give you the basics. This is part of a joystick, how to create games. So this is a basic, joystick. And here's a little, button at the top that you would stick on. So you're creating games or whatnot. Like you got to learn the basics. You're not going to get it in your feminine masculine talk. And I know a lot of the feminine masculine talk has to deal with, what do you call it? Healing, so to speak. But it's not a thing. You're not going to be able to go to a spa and charge masculine and feminine energy. And I'm kind of disappointed that all those people who had something to say on Facebook didn't show up and got the links. And I know they got them. This was your opportunity to prove masculine and feminine energy exists. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here. More motors, like you can make a small robotic arm and lift. This is just basic stuff that you can build on that isn't as complicated as you would think. But a real understanding of energy. And so, once you start messing with stuff like this, then you can start thinking about solving energy problems in Africa. How can we bring energy, or how can we utilize, how can we transform energy? How can we turn wind energy into electrical and mechanical energy so that people have lights consistently? So anybody who's been in Nigeria and other places in Africa know that they have a power problem. And so in some places, electricity does not stay on all day. You have to do stuff in a hurry and get certain things done. Yes. It's no shade. It's just the experience. It is what it is. But if we have more individuals who understand energy, maybe we can come up with some low-cost solutions or or even some hacks, into providing consistent, energy sources, if you understand how like electromagnetism works and the agitation of the field and how that produces light. How can we use magnets to generate electricity constantly? How can we take, light from the sun and turn it into chemical energy, which then can be turned into some other forms of energy, especially in terms of electricity and things, to light homes on a consistent basis, or to be able to light a small fridge and things. So these are the kinds of conversations that you can have when you're serious about the topic. And so, conversations about morality are something different. But so yeah,
I think what it is people. I didn't see any of the. I'm reading chat pseudo conversations, but I think I'm just assuming it was, black people in America. I think it's what it is people are trying to maintain the status quo. Because if we go like to the ultimate conclusion, like Amos Wilson said, we're at war. We start shifting things like, how do we make this? Discuss energy, how to make tanks, and we wouldn't be talking about, feminine energy and people caught up in sundresses and etiquette and that type of stuff that people talk about. Then in Congo they call it Fukiensi, the culture of the land. People start writing their own laws and create a whole new culture that's dealing with these kind of serious topics. But I missed that conversation. But those type of things I don't take seriously.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's all it's I ain't gonna say it's fun and games for me, but it's not anything that I'm trying to
maintain the laws and.
But I think it's more so in alignment with, we don't want to associate with anything if we can help it with Europeans. And so any kind of conversation about energy, then it is an issue of, well, that's the Europeans' definition. Well, we got to understand that they're just studying nature. And these aspects are going to apply whether you are African, non-African. It doesn't matter what you call it. It's going to behave the same in all areas of life. And so if you can't demonstrate that this is a reality, regardless, even within your own tradition, then we have a problem. Because in this day and age, we're looking at stuff that is real, that is useful for us. And so overall, Africans are losing. And a lot of us are losing because we do not want to accept reality. And we think that accepting reality is accepting European consciousness and culture and all of this other kind of stuff, knowing that these fundamentals arise out of African thought anyway. But the problem was in the early ways of African pedagogy, in which this type of information was only reserved for the elders within a quote unquote wisdom spiritual tradition. Well, they were able, the Europeans and others were able to take the basic knowledge of nature and make it work for them so that they can create economies that can better defend themselves against other people and nature. But we don't see it that way. And we understand that there's certain aspects of technology that, are harmful, but that comes with the creation of any technology. Matter of fact, in the discussion that Dr. Modupe Oduyoye and I had recently, which is on the Patreon page for those of you that that want to know or want to see that interview, he talks about that. He gives a very good basic breakdown, for example, of Ogun worship. And what do we mean by worship? And what do we mean by sacrifice? And one of the things that he said is that anytime that you create a technology, there's always going to be a human sacrifice. Whether you want to or not. It's not in the context of there's a real, like, you just put, like, people take ideas and run with them in the opposite direction. And, you know, like, you don't have to put a human being on an altar and sacrifice them. When you create cars are going to crash and human lives are going to be lost. If you create certain medicine, certain people are going to get sick. Some people may die from it. You create airplanes, one or two of them airplanes is going to crash. Every human, you create knives, people are going to get stabbed with it. You even create pure drinking water. Something will happen, you know, and the water may be poisoned and people die. There's always a human cost. And that's talking about in the extreme. But let's just talk about stuff that's not in the extreme. You're still going to have to dedicate, you're going to have to sacrifice time with your family. You know, if you want to get your college degree, you're going to have to sacrifice going out and partying with your friends and staying home and studying. If you want a car, you're going to have to sacrifice time and work out there and save some of your money instead of going and out to eat every week and all this other kind of stuff. It always takes sacrifice. And so, you know, people talking about sacrificing they don't understand what the concept means. And so, you know, these are the types of discussions that I want to bring to the forefront. And that's one of the gifts, or maybe, you know, if you believe in that concept that you came here with a purpose. Like, this is part of my purpose, to bring clarity to African concepts and for us to be able to better utilize it, you know, in our lives. Zane says, Nam Yoho Renge Kyo. Yep, that's those folks. So anybody else wanna, I'm gonna put the link in there, you know. And so if y'all don't believe, if y'all believe I'm just talking nonsense, or even if you agree and want to say something, come on the live and let's have the conversation. But I'm sorry, you have anything else to say?
No, I think I guess this just taps into gender roles. Maybe people got sensitive. I don't know. But yeah, you answered all my questions.
They're not inherent in nature. The vast majority of human behavior is social. It's the age-old question. What came? Not what came first, but nature versus nurture. Are you the way you are because of some biological, you know, mechanism, or are you the way that you are because of the community and life experiences? And to some degree, it's both. But in terms of your personality, in terms of your values, all of that is nurture. The way that you see the world. That's why we call it a world view for people. It's your collective consciousness and belief systems and reward and punishment systems within a social, you know, group. All of these shape how you see the world. But let me see. Hold on. I'm still on the page now. He's saying Harwin Matthews, two sides should be presented. responded to. An affirmative and negative. You getting the last word in on your platform without a response. See, this is what I'm talking about. So Harwin Matthews, if you pay attention to the description, it is for everyone to come and present their views. And so everybody who was tagged and had something to say, not one of them showed up. And they've responded on my advertisement for the show. So they know it's happening. Now, unless they're at work or something like that, I can understand. But no, every last one of them running, because they know for a fact there's no such thing as masculine and feminine energy. They don't know what energy is. And so energy is not a thing. It is a measurement. It is a property of matter. And in all the languages, whether it's an African language or a European language, the word for power, the word for energy, derives from a verb, meaning to do or to act. And so when nominalized, it means the ability to do or act. There's no physical verbs in nature. A verb is what you use to describe an act or to describe the actual act happening. So if I say running or to run, you can't go in nature and find run. It doesn't exist. That's what you're using to describe some organism moving at a fast pace, in contrast to the word walk, which is a movement with the legs at a more slower pace, all relative in terms of your idea of what is fast and what is slow. So if you are listening, Harwin, the link to the show, I'm posting it there. You can join the program and present that opposite view. But something tells me he's not going to join. So I am King Kosa says, y'all know Leo season creeping up. Leo is the only other energy in existence. I will say that. I don't care what anybody say. So yes. As a matter of fact, I'm off on my birthday, which is on a Friday. So I may do a special talk-ish Leo show on July the 30th, 2021. So I'll be the big 4-2 for those who don't know my age. But anyway, y'all check out Brother Garfield's book, Misconceptions and Misinformation by the Black Hebrew Israelites, Volume 1. We're going to have him on the show on Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, to talk about his book and why he chose to piss off all the Black Hebrews across Zion. And then I'm going to have to schedule our good brother Kofi to come on and talk about his book as well. Beautiful Lessons About Kimoyo. And so both of these texts I have yet to read, so I have no opinion on them. And then y'all be on the lookout for Muntu Wa Nzambi, Portrait of Human as God's Special Creation by Dr. Shalima Lema Mukinge. This is a book that I'm publishing, and Dr. Mukinge is the author. And, you know, we're going to delve deep into that African spirituality, that Kimoyo, as we call it. And get you some better insights of what's actually going on and what's meant by certain concepts and the like. And then there's another book that I have coming out called Chiluba, Maweja, Yoruba, Orisha, and Ancient Egyptian Ak, an exploratory etymological study. And so that'll be out probably August, September. So be on the lookout for that. But are there any questions in the chat? Let me see. Says Garfield giving Black Hebrew Israelites heart attacks and high blood pressure with the new book. Yeah, I think Zion Lex is doing a live show right now, calling his book Pseudo. So it just came out. We know he ain't read it, but so yeah, he getting them mad. And Zane says, "Is the moon not most feminine energy in the cosmos? Why would it be feminine? What?" And see, that's the thing. What is how do you define feminine and how do you define masculine? That it can be universally applied to non-human, non-biological species as a whole. That's the question. Let me see. He says, I didn't burn the sage for the show. He said they are watching Pseudo X. I don't know who Pseudo X is. Samara Williams, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. I believe there are male and female tendencies, behaviors. Shout out to Sister Samara Williams. If y'all are in the Pennsylvania or Delaware area, she is an excellent cook and baker. And I have tried her food. I have ordered a cake from her. Y'all look out for Sister Samira Williams. And if y'all in that area and need some catering for an event or something to that nature, she is the one y'all need to holler at. So big ups and respects to Sister Samira Williams. And let me see what's going on up here. I'm just going back through the comments. So many of y'all comments may let's see. See, here's one of the brothers, Mugabe Mudiwa. He says, damn, I wish I was free. So like I said, I give room. So people may be at work or something to this nature. You know, we all living in different places, you know, in different time zones. So, you know, everybody may, you know, somebody may be getting married right now. I want to interrupt their marriage to come argue with me. I would be so honored. Let me see. Let me see. It's not the same masculine and feminine when dealing with languages and separately dealing with linguistics. Yeah, because Bantu has about 20-something genders. So it's not masculine. You can't say masculine energy. And thanks again to Brother DJ Black Charm for coming on the program and giving his insight. So I'm not seeing any new questions. And so I don't want to, you know, take up too much of your time. It's already going on 2 hours now. So I am just going to end the program. But before I end the program, I want each and every one of you who has not, as of now, to again that's right. Like and subscribe. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. And, you know, keep the conversation going. And there was another event, or excuse me, another topic that I wanted to, not tonight, but wanted to address, but I forgot it right now. And I know it's going to make, you know, everybody mad. Oh, and so here's my statement. So the next, all the smoke, I don't know what date is going to be, but understand that is going to be the topic of, I'm going to say that organization is more powerful than African spirituality. Organization is more powerful than African spirituality? That's going to be the next argument on All the Smoke. So y'all can start preparing your arguments right now, for that open-ended show. But I am going to first and foremost thank each and every one of y'all for listening, and thank both the guests, Brother DJ and Brother Confidence. Chizoro, how do you pronounce it?
Okeke. Chizoro Okeke.
Okay, Chizo. So I'm saying it somewhat right. I just want to make sure I'm not missing some tones or whatnot. So thank you both, for braving and coming on the panel and having a discussion with me. So yes, I'm going to go charge some crystals and light some more candles. I got one lit in the back. You can barely see it, but and I'm going to go meditate and raise my Kundalini energy so that I can attack this schoolwork that I got today. I got work in the morning, so I won't be up all night conning with you all. So with that said, y'all have a blessed evening and good night. Peace.